What's up, everybody? Joshua Casper back at you with Plugin Boutique, and today we're checking out Expanse 3D from JMG Sound, which is part of United Plugins. This is a utility plugin that's mainly focused on expanding and enhancing your audio, but the unique approach they take is that it's in 3 dimensions. So you can see down here at the bottom that we've got a width control, a depth control, and a height control. We also have in and output adjusters. We can have an A and a B. There's a go back and go forward, and then the bypass here at the top, but really we want to focus on these 3 parameters down here. So width is your standard way to make sounds bigger or wider, or push them out to the left and the right in the mix. So right now I've got Expanse 3D on this project, and I've got it on the master channel, and this way we can really hear each one of these parameters and what it's doing on a full mix. But obviously you can go in and use this on a track by track or group by group basis as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and crank up the width and bypass it a couple times so you can really hear what it's doing. So it does a really great job at pushing the audio out to the left and the right. And what's really important here is it does it transparently, meaning we're not going to get any phasing issues. And one of the ways it achieves this is that it's a kind of like a gradient slope. When you crank up the width, the higher the value of the width control itself, there's like a gradient slope. So it's going to not do anything to your subs. It's only going to do a little bit to your lows. It's going to do a little bit more to the low mids. And when you go up to really ultra high frequencies, it's going to really push those out. It's doing all this with spectral phase processing, and it really makes things super wide while remaining natural and transparent. Now, you do have a couple of different algorithms. If I click right here, we've got normal, inverted, alternative, and then alternative inverted. Now these all work similarly, but have offsets at different frequency points. And this can be important if you're going to be using Expanse 3D on multiple different channels, and you don't want to have your, like I said, the slope where things are getting pushed out wider. If you want those at different positions so it does everything isn't absolutely uniform in that sense, it's really great to have these different algorithms inside of there and have control over that in the end. So if I'm going to go ahead and crank it up and just change through the algorithms, you can hear them. And you can really hear it. Now, obviously, this is way past the point at which I would use this in a real world situation, but it's really better to do it this way so you can get a good idea or the full picture of what's happening. And you can really hear the differences. I actually like the inverted algorithm the most on this mix. So moving from there, we have the depth control. Now the depth control uses a psychoacoustic effect to add the perception of additional depth. And it does this by generating multiple small delays that are too short for the brain to identify as separate, almost creating like a really ultra fast reverb tail. There's also some transient shaping happening, and it's mainly focused on the mid frequencies. Now the algorithm modes for depth are tight, normal, and deep. And the differences here can really be heard on something snappy or quick like percussion. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and solo the drums in the project, and I'm just going to go ahead and crank up depth on tight. So the tight mode is the shortest of the bunch, and normal is what it'll be on default. But if I turn it up to deep on these percussive hits, you'll actually be able to hear the different delay taps. So in general, it depends on where you have Expanse 3D inside of your project. If you have it on drums, you're going to want it on tight, but maybe on something like a pad, you could go for deep. And just in general, normal is going to work pretty well. So just choose the best one that fits your project and then adjust the parameter value accordingly. Okay, moving from there, we have height. Height uses a commonly recognized phenomenon when we perceive low frequency sounds as coming from below and high frequencies as coming from above. The high frequencies, when using height inside of Expanse 3D, are treated with some very analog sounding saturation, plenty of even harmonics, dynamic consistency, and an anti-aliasing algorithm. So unlike a traditional EQ, which would simply boost existing frequencies, this generates additional upper harmonics extending the range of the treble. The low frequencies are resynthesized, improving the clarity and adding upper harmonics. So just this height parameter here is actually doing a ton of different things and a ton of work to process the sound and make it sound, I guess, more dynamic, but in terms of low frequencies and high frequencies. And you're going to hear it here when I have it on the master channel. I boost it up. You can really hear a big change in the overall EQ balance of the mix. And we do have a number of additional modes down here, and this changes the range of the processing. So for an audio channel with a little bass, you can choose the EXT low. For audio with a little bit of treble, choose EXT high. Or for audio more in the middle with a little bit of bass and a little bit of treble, use extended low plus high. For the most part though, the normal mode will be the right choice, especially on full mixes, which we're using it here. Let's go ahead and crank up the parameter and see what it sounds like. I really like what it's doing to that sub bass in this particular project. Even on that really high value, I still think it sounds absolutely phenomenal. Now, like I said, and like I say in all of my videos, very rarely would I crank anything up to 100%. I just do it to let you have the full effect inside of these demo videos. But overall, I would say this is a really unique plugin. I like their approach with the 3D space. I do like how much thought and the execution that went into the algorithms behind each one of these very simple to use controls inside of Expanse 3D. And if you're someone who's looking to make a more interesting and dynamic soundscape for your music, Expanse 3D is definitely a plugin for you. It's already available on pluginboutique.com. I'm going to leave a link to it in the video description so you can find out more details. And as always, I'm Joshua Casper here for Plugin Boutique. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you in the next video.